Right, now, so my tip would be, when you do this, probably practice it on these reflections first while you're practicing. But I'm going to show you, I think I'll show you on this bit here. See that? Don't really look very realistic now, does it? So I've got all my darks, all my lights, I know where my highlights are and everything now. So now I'm just going to push the paint around till it looks realistic. So you watch this, this'll help it. So I'm just moving these paints around now, softening these edges, and it hopefully will give me more of a realistic look. So I'm pulling some darks into my lights, pushing some lights out into my darks. There we are, look. If it's looking too dark, dip your brush in your water. That's a nice colour there, so I might try and leave a bit of that in. That's a nice fresh colour there, but soften the edges from that bit there, look. Can you see already that little bit there, that little area there, looks more realistic. Right, let's wash my brush. Come back in, let's have a look. Let's push some of this dark down. Oh, my brush is probably a bit too wet there. Not to worry, just let it drip. Let it drip. It'll all blend and mix and glaze, look, because it's watery, it'll just glaze. Soften some of this off. It'll look niceness. Niceness. Still trying to leave little bits of my original colour from way back ages ago. Can you see them little really light bits showing through? That's my original bit when I first put that, just that little bit of yellow on its own in. And all these other colours, look, you see a bit of pure red there, a bit of pure blue there. So some of these bits from glazing got some pure colours left in. From before I even did my secondary colours. When I say secondary colours, what I'm on about are like a primary colour is red, yellow or blue. Secondary colour is a colour what's mixed from red, yellow or blue. And you get different reds, different yellows and different blues. Take that off. And you get different variations depending on what ones you use. But don't use loads and loads of colours, because you'll just confuse yourself. Best thing to do is you don't even have to pick the same colours I've picked. I use ultramarine blue, light red, lemon yellow and Bontumber. That's all I've got in my palette at the minute. You don't have to use them ones, but I will just pick a red, a yellow and a blue, and then it just makes it easier. It's more like, if you imagine if you were to sketch this just with a pencil, it'd be easier because you're only thinking about lights and darks then, so it makes it a lot easier. But if you've got colours everywhere and you've got to think about colour as well, but when you've only got a few colours, it trains you and practices you at colour mixing, and it's a lot easier. People think it's harder. That people think, oh, I'll just get a tube green, it's easier. Well, tube greens, you can't really use them on their own anyway. They look horrible on their own. They just look cartoony, like a cartoon picture. Can you see that already? Look, that looks more realistic. Now, what I'll probably do is leave that for now and just have a look at it and see, do I do a bit more? Do I do a bit less? Looking at it's probably about right. Or if in a bit I decide I can do a bit more. These bits back here, let's see if we can get them a bit more realistic looking. So I'm just dabbing with my damp brush, softening these colours in. I can soften these in more because they're further away. So now it's like wet in wet painting, but I've just got all my colours there. They're ready for me. So it's a lot easier. So I'm just mixing on my paper rather, and all these different colours are there ready for me, so it's just miles easier to do. I'm always looking for easiest way to do stuff. That's looking nice. See that? If you look at that and that looks more realistic. That looks more distant as well now because it's softer. So when you get closer, you want to still leave a bit of texture in, as opposably to this stuff here. Some of these bits look nice. Don't just soften everything out. If you just soften everything out, there was no point putting the textures in. If I just soften all this into just one colour, I might as well have just mixed one colour and painted it in 20 minutes and just whack one colour in. This is like, really, this is the sort of thing you'd do if you were sat at the side of this lake painting it. You wouldn't paint it like this. It'd take too long. You'd just, I could paint this in 20 minutes, but this is a studio type painting where you just working your colours up. I've already painted this. I've sat at the side of this lake and painted this, and it took me 20 minutes. But I just painted it with I did no underpainting or out like that. I just did the whole thing, all with secondary colours really, pretty much. Just whap it in fast. That's what you'd probably do if you sat at the side of a lake. So see how that looks more realistic? I've not took every little hard edge out. But a good idea would be to practice it on these shadows first, and then you can see what you think. Yeah, I'll do a bit more off camera, and then I'll come back and show you a bit more.